Yeah. I think it was 800 billion.
800 billion, and it was like, oh my gosh, 800 billion. Now they're like, oh, this is the third stimulus, and they want 2 trillion.
This is like monopoly money on steroids times 50.
Pretty crazy, pretty crazy.
This is the iBuyer Experiment Podcast, how technology is changing real estate, with your hosts, Kayla Leos, Jason Leos, Keith Howard, and Elliot Tomaszewski. Please consider subscribing so you're notified when we launch new podcasts. Let's go.
You got to say it in me.
What's up?
What's up, crew?
What's going on?
We have a spooky special edition today.
Halloween style.
Well, happy Halloween, y'all. Happy Halloween 2020, even though they try to ban it.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting Halloween, but that didn't stop us from dressing up.
Yeah, we got unicorns, penguins. We got a hybrid wolf, zebra,
What?
and then we got.
Is that Beetlejuice?
This is the opposite. This is what Tarzan
Wait,
looks like.
I don't know what you guys are. Okay, so you are.
I'm bucking the trends.
Bucking the trends. Is that like
right.
that's your name? Bucking
That's right.
the trends.
Bucking the trends.
This Tarzan brother got kicked out from the family.
Okay, went to jail. All right. And then what are you, Keith? You're a wolf. Wolf
Yeah,
Beetlejuice.
Well, I'm going zebra. Okay.
Okay, there's zebra. All right. And Kayla. Kayla's a unicorn, obviously. She loves the unicorn, and I'm a beanie baby.
She was just saying a minute ago, what's the top of her thing there when we had to like
What
look at
is
the
this?
nostrils, the
Like-
little.
Is it a nose?
Can you
Is
hear
it a
me?
mouth? I don't
Hello.
I have no idea. But what I do know is that a recent article came out in Inman. It said expiring eviction moratoriums could lead to the next housing crisis. Economists say that America is on the brink of another housing crisis as rent debt reaches $7 billion. So check it out. The Wall Street Journal published a report just on Tuesday, said that a massive wave of evictions is set to hit the apartment and single-family home rental markets as outstanding rent debt surpasses $7 billion.
Fear sells, right?
Yep. Unless another stimulus hits.
Well,
Isn't
That's
that
right.
part of it?
That's right.
Is that what's
think
going
it
on?
will?
They're
Yes.
just trying to scare him into a stimulus.
It does say that if Congress fails to pass another coronavirus stimulus package before the end of the year, that we are in some deep trouble, resulting in a housing crisis that could rival what homeowners experienced 13 years ago.
Wait, they passed two stimuluses already, right?
Yes.
What was the first one? Like 1 trillion or 2
I
trillion?
thought it was over $1 trillion.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was
And
more
now-
than any stimulus back in 08, 09.
the first one was
Yeah,
the
the 0809 it was like 500 billion or something.
Yeah, I think it was 800 billion.
800 billion, and it was like, oh my gosh, 800 billion. Now they're like, oh, this is the third stimulus, and they want 2 trillion.
This is like monopoly money on steroids times 50.
Pretty crazy. But there's no doubt that it is impacting average everyday Americans. They're saying the average American renter owes $5,400
That
in
number
back
blows
rent.
my mind.
Yeah, that's
When you
a
think
lot.
about the average, right? Because that's just average. So what about all the people that are on time? So that means that some people are seriously delinquent.
That's right. And
Well, when did COVID start? When did they first start the
eviction
moratorium?
moratoriums? Probably in late March, April.
Okay, so March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October.
Jason is
November.
counting on his hands.
So like 9 months. So 9 months. Think about
9 months, yeah.
$1,500, $2,000 a
15,
month.
yeah.
So anywhere between.
There's no way
15
average
to
rent is
18,000.
across the nation is $2,000. I mean, I
Well,
have no fact
I'm
on
Okay,
that,
so-
just other than the
thinking
thought.
our little area here.
Yeah.
But if the average renter is back $5,400, that's kind of crazy. We
That
kind of have
is.
Houston. We may have a problem.
Yeah.
So-
Houston.
Yeah, but
No
what?
problem. Where are these people going to go?
Exactly.
Well,
We were just talking about that.
There's definitely a lot of different articles out, but I know that to kind of feed in, to this, without getting political, I think both sides, Nancy Pelosi and the Trump administration has kind of pretty much announced at this point that if another
Pelosi, not
stimulus is
Biden.
going to be passed, it's not going to be till after the election because they just can't. But they're talking anywhere between a trillion to 2 trillion. So if that happens, well, there'll be more relief. Will the extension for the eviction, get put out? That's a huge thing. However, this is pretty, I think, breaking news to kind of feed off of that. So as of October 20th, so very recently, a lawsuit backed by the National Apartment Association and other challenges aimed to undo the National Eviction Moratorium. Did I say that right?
Moratorium, yep.
Ordered by the CDC. So here's their argument.
Huh.
On October 20th, the U.S. District Court of Northern District of Georgia heard the first case against those evictions. The challenge, that challenge brought by a nonprofit called the New Civil Liberties Alliance, has joined with the National Apartment Association, which represents some 85,000 landlords responsible for 10 million rental units.
Jeez.
Lawyers and scholars working on behalf of the plaintiffs in the cases say that the CDC lacks the constitutional authority to enact a policy affecting rents. And
Wow.
yeah, and so
Well, it is. It's an impediment on on really our capitalistic opportunities, right? I mean,
I'm not going to
But here's the-
pretend to
but
know
here's the thing.
constitutional law.
If they
at
kicked
this
out
moment.
everybody, all that,
Oh,
that
it's-
would hurt them. That would hurt them
it's
more than
sca-
it would hurt anyone else.
It's scary, but when you have things like this happen, I mean, this is the definition of the calm before the storm. It says that a decision for preliminary injunction could be issued or denied within the next couple of weeks. So I think I'm going to probably follow this case and see where
Update us.
Report back.
see where it goes.
Well, so here's the thing: if people aren't paying the rent, how are they going to go get another rental?
Well, not only that, I mean, could you imagine the qualification process for that too? I mean, hey, I just got evicted, but can I rent your place?
Well, and here's another the crazy thing too is,
But there'll be a lot more inventory on the market for rentals, right? If they kicked out everybody,
but they have to go somewhere, or
just gonna like swap,
or are they going to
swap
just
houses?
be homeless? Like seriously, and to get into a rental, at least in the Phoenix market, it's
Oh,
expensive.
That's what I was just going to say. Outside of housing prices, the thing that's skyrocketed as much and then some is rents. Rents have gone through the roof.
Yeah, so we just helped a gal get into a home in Santan Valley, and I want to say the lease was about $2,000 a month for about a 2,200 square foot home, and she had to come up with first month's rent, of course, a security deposit representing the amount of first month's rent, a non-refundable cleaning deposit, an application fee, and I think there was another fee on there, and it was like close to $5,000.
Yeah, not far off of what like minimum down is for like
Freaking
FHA
FHA.
and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So if these individuals are back $5,400 in a lease, they're going to have to scrounge up about $5,400 to get into something else.
Yeah.
Not to mention some, okaying the fact that they have an eviction on their record. That's the number one thing a landlord looks for when they're qualifying a tenant is if you had an eviction. It's the number one.
Yeah,
thing.
what's that going to look like in 2021?
I just
Yeah.
imagine some landlords they're just gonna know that hey, there's
Sure, maybe it was a hard time, a letter of explanation, right? I
just
mean,
like how it was in the foreclosure
yep,
era.
yep,
There was
yep.
they started allowing like new loans after a foreclosure after a couple years.
Right.
right. They changed their ways. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, no doubt it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And with our housing shortage, it's just, I don't know.
So going into like think tank mode on it, us, as agents and communicating to agents out there, what's some things that we could do to capitalize on helping the tenant and helping the landlord?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Kind of go outside the box because we're always looking for different ways. There's always a cycle. Now we're in another cycle. What in this new part of the cycle is there a way to go generate potentially new seller leads?
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and look up the eviction notices that have been filed. Try to get in contact with those sellers because most sellers now they're going to be, bummed out that they have a non-performing asset. Maybe they have a decent amount of equity. Have a conversation with them, find out what equity they have, maybe offer them a cash offer because that might be a more streamlined process, and talk with the tenant, find out what their situation is, and get with the landlord and say, hey, you know what? I'm just spitballing a random number. What if we were to incentivize them and give them a $2,500 or $3,000 credit, which would help
Move out, yeah.
and I'll help them move on to the next place.
Cash
We'll
for
get your
trees.
house sold and kind of move on from this and make it a win-win for everybody. And then you're giving a way out for the tenant who's probably freaking out, and you're giving a way out for the landlord that is just probably throwing up his hands and honestly maybe
Sure.
pissed off.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that landlord has equity. We know that.
I was going
right?
to say, what about the landlord that's bought the house, 5, 6, 7 years ago? Let's just say, let's even go further and say it's a property that's fully depreciated. Now he has an incentive to sell it, especially if he has a portfolio.
Absolutely.
So-
That's a great idea, Keith. So where would an agent find that information?
I don't know, actually. I need to look into that.
To see
do
the evictions.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe evictions here are filed in the justice courts.
Okay.
So you could go on to, justice courts of whatever city you're in, right? So they're all different.
I wonder if
There's-
a title
it does. It
representative
does.
can help
It
out
does
with
say
that.
right there. Yep, the justice court. Mhm.
Right, and so then I believe you could just do a public record search of the eviction notices and find them that way. It's definitely some work, right? You're gonna be putting in some grunt work to do this, but it's a system, you guys. And I think that real estate agents really need to work on having 2 to 3 prospecting funnels, 2 to 3 systems, whatever you want to call them, that they work on. And this could just be another system that you implement into your business that you do consistently. And it's not going to produce results day one, but if you did do something like this and you stayed with it, I guarantee you will get business.
Yeah, I was always trained 3 key lead sources.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we actually all had a question about this when we came across this article. Like, well, are people even allowed to file? Well, with the same, this article's from Bloomberg. It says the CDC itself released an update on October 9th that landlords could still file eviction for non-payment even if the cases could not be heard until the new year. And then they're kind of thinking, well, why would I file an eviction if I can't even hear it till the end of the year? Well, I think people will still, because if they do any due diligence, there's going to be a long line, and the longer you wait, the longer it's going to be for your case
I'm
to
sure,
get
yeah,
heard.
first come,
If you
first
really
serve.
do want to try to get that tenant out of the property, so people are still filing. You can still find them.
Absolutely.
There may be an additional flood at the beginning of the year unless there's an extension with another stimulus.
So maybe a letter to the owners of the property saying, hey, would you like some help with your tenant to help them move them out? I have some opportunities for them. And
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know what you guys think, but it seems like a lot of real estate agents don't want to help renters. They just don't feel like it's worth their time.
Well,
Right.
unfortunately, it's because they're not compensated properly in most cases for finding a tenant and bringing a tenant to the property.
That's very
That's
true.
one of the
A lot of them are like,
conundrums
what,
of the-
200
of the
bucks?
business.
I'm not going to lie. I
one of the
think that is
conundrums.
one of the most broken things in our industry. Is
Yep,
absolutely.
and hey, we all love you, but it's property management companies and just rentals in general. The compensation, like, I mean,
It won't even pay your gas.
You're going to get $2,000 a month for rent for 12 months. You take your 10% every month, and they'll be like, "Oh, here's $200." And I think if people got like 500 to 1,000, I think
be
you'd see
workable.
a lot increase.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about the money, but you got to go show half a dozen to 10 rentals, which is the case. Sometimes rentals are harder than resales at the moment.
Oh,
it's,
gotcha. Yes.
it's just not worth it. It's
Yep.
working for free, and that's just
Well, it's working at a loss in
yeah.
some cases. It truly is. I
So,
mean,
or
could-
you're working for future business.
Sure,
you know,
that was gonna
building
say that's the other
relationships,
thing.
Absolutely, I mean,
working
well,
for
it's-
referrals.
I think there are also tenants that will pay you. Hey,
Right, that's
if you
what I
want
was
to
gonna
work
say.
with,
Yep.
if you want to work with me, I charge a $500 retainer, and then I'll help you.
I know
but-
that there are, because that's a strategy that we teach our agents
Yep.
here at JK, and that is a strategy that they
Yep.
use and that does work. So
That's a good point.
yeah,
Yep.
100%.
I'll
That
do
definitely
rentals
works.
enough
And
to
a lot of
probably speak
renters they're frustrated and they can't find anything and they will pay it.
Well, and not only that, I mean, they're not getting direct information, right? So they're going. A lot of the places they're going to are the Redfins, the Zillows, those types of things, and that's where
Stuff
that
that's already
rental market,
taken.
right? The rental market
Yep.
is so hot; it's
They're
to the minute,
frustrated.
not to the day.
Yeah, it definitely. I know that the gal that we just helped, Alyssa helped her out, and she sent me 3, and they were all day 0 on the market. And of those 3 rentals that she was interested in, only 1 was available. Day
That's
0.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very competitive.
It's really crazy. So, question for you guys: what do you think that this is going to mean to iBuyers, right? Because I mean, let's face it, they are some of the best data houses out there. they're very clear on this data that's going down.
I'm
What
sure
does this
they're
mean
on
for
it.
them?
I'm sure they're
Yeah.
they're advertising to these people that are in evictions or the owners that are evicting
Yep.
right now, and they're probably advertising to them.
Well, typically, iBuyers have taken a more conservative approach for tenant-owned properties, and they wouldn't even issue offers on tenant-owned properties. So, is their approach going to change? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't
Some
know.
of these iBuyers are selling directly to some of the big tenants, right, or big landlords that have portfolios of thousands of homes. So
Right.
maybe
right.
they
They'll
work
they'll
together.
offload them to like a REIT. Yep. Yeah.
Well, I know that I can't remember with Zillow and OfferPad, but I know Opendoor. There's a couple times that they would still give you an offer if they knew that the tenant was in the
Vacate.
property was going to be vacating the premises
Right.
within that 60-day close of escrow, and sometimes maybe 90 days if you
Yep.
needed to push it out, and they felt that was still relative pricing. But yeah, they will not if they know that lease is more than 90 days.
Yep.
Not happening.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see if they change their model or not, but I doubt it.
Well, I mean, at the same time, though, too, I think it's still about the opportunity. It's race for the lead. Just like we were just meeting with one of our digital in-house marketing managers, and he gave us some pretty cool information. But like when you look at lowering the barrier of entry, it elevates the opportunity for lead. And so with the iBuyers, right, are they going to change up their strategy? Because let's face it, it's a race for the lead right now. With inventory as low as it is, trying to corner the markets in certain things, they're going to lower that barrier of entry. So it will not surprise me if these amazing lead machines.
The interesting thing, though, is that at least Opendoor has done the exact opposite of that. They haven't
true.
lowered the
They have.
barrier
No,
of
they've only
entry.
made it more
They've only
difficult.
increased the
That's
barrier
a
of entry,
really
right?
good point. Yep.
So Opendoor is not going for the easy lead. Opendoor is going for the person that
They're going for the
actually
listing.
wants to sign the contract,
Yep.
either to buy the house
Or
or
to
to
list
list.
Well, it certainly maximizes the return on value. But I mean, and there again, I mean, I'll go back to what I just said a second ago. They are an amazing data house, right? So clearly, there's some history on that now. And I mean, they're what, sixth year of operation. So they've got some solid data on some of these sources.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know for sure. We're speculating here, but based on that how many people were laid off during COVID. But think about how much money they're saving, not just giving out offers left and right and having people paying all
Right.
those people
Right.
to potentially justify whether the AVM spit something out or not. So they probably are getting a higher return.
They probably are. Well, and I mean, I'd almost be curious to know what their acceptance rate is. Historically, their acceptance rate is 5%, just south of that. So curious to know what that would be in that particular circumstance as far as that goes.
And I know we love to talk about the statistic. I think Mike Delpreet first introduced these statistics to the industry a few years ago, and he said that less than 5% of the sellers that solicit an instant cash offer actually accept the instant cash offer. And then at that point in time, he said that of the 95% of sellers that didn't accept the instant cash offer, 45% of them went on to sell their home within 6 months. Now, I know we really love that data and we love it. We love to hold on to that one. But I'm going to challenge it because it's a few years old and the
Yep.
iBuying model has become more ubiquitous. And as that occurs, I think that people are going to request instant cash offers out of curiosity. And I don't think we're going to see
quite
that
that.
same high 45% of individuals listing their market or their home on the market within 6 months. That's just my gut. There's no way, because then that would mean everybody would be on the market because you've got people requesting instant cash offers left and right.
Well, and I mean, I know something that is a little bit more relevant, and I mean, this is just really from this is actually from Tyler Hickson over at Opendoor, that he had said that the average person that they end up selling with was their third time that they requested an offer, was the third time that they ended up accepting.
Within like a 6 to 12 month time frame too.
Right.
So they want to know what it is, and then they want to know a few months later.
Yep.
And then maybe increase just a little bit enough, or the situation was right.
Well, the crazy thing about that
Took
is when you evaluate that's a homeowner that is in the ballpark and they're watching it and they don't want to sell their house on the open market and they're waiting to hit that net at the end of the day. And as soon as they hit that net ejection button,
Right. I think Opendoor is really determining what a home seller is willing to pay for certainty.
True. It's a good one. That's a good one. So what like I think we, again we look at these homeowners and these I just think it's an opportunity, right? Just like you guys saw with our REO stuff. I know we saw with some short sale. I think, is it time to dust off some of those playbooks based on some of this stuff that we're hearing here? Or, I
don't think in our market. I think there's a ton of equity in most houses right now. I think maybe in some other markets there definitely is, but
well, I guess it's all relative to when you bought.
Yeah, and I would say,
well, we are the top 3 destinations for people moving here from out of state.
Yeah.
Right? We're number 3.
Yeah,
our demand is still through the roof.
So, right. So if you look at, and we have such a housing shortage right now, it's just insane.
What is the latest? Just
we have 8,400 homes on the market.
8,400, yeah, I think it was south of 9.
It's like what, like 3.5 weeks of inventory?
Yeah, it's, well, maybe, yeah.
Well, let's see. This is October, so historically we sell around 8,000 houses, like 6,500 to 7,000 houses historically in the month of October-ish.
But this year we just can't even rely on historical data because this year is such a freaking wild card.
This is 2020. This is our
throws
new
all
cycle.
historical data out the window.
This is the first year of our new cycle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we are definitely.
How about that for a statement?
Resetting.
Huh. That's.
So let's talk about what can agents be doing, guys?
Yeah.
What can they be doing? Like, I think what we're doing here with Instagram Reels with our Zoodealio, I think if agents aren't on Instagram Reels right now, you're missing out. You have to start doing them. It's
why though? Why is Reels so important? Give a little bit of juice behind it.
Okay, so TikTok, right? There's TikTok came on scene a couple of years ago and has really just taken off, and there's a lot of
exploded.
There's a lot of users now that are on TikTok, which is taking away from your Facebooks and your Instagrams, and Instagram definitely came out. They were, hey, let's compete, let's throw in Reels, and they started that service. I think it was in August, and if you're doing Reels right now, you're getting a lot of attention on your
the algorithms within Instagram are pushing.
Yeah, it's
your
like
stuff.
one of those times where if you put in the time and create the Reels, you're gonna start getting the eyeballs. So
yeah, Instagram's rewarding.
They're definitely rewarding.
What about those agents that are intimidated by technology, afraid to put themselves on camera, those types of things? Kayla, you're marvelous at this. Or some ideas that you could share with us that you think that they could benefit from?
Yeah, 'cause like me, I'm a dinosaur. I still use Facebook majority.
The youngest one of all of us, but
that's okay. Hey, you can't always pivot to the next latest and greatest, or you'll constantly be jumping around. So it has to make sense for you and your business plan. I think that if you're looking to grow some great social organic reach, it's an excellent way to do it. And hey, I held off on making Reels at first, and so I was not an early adopter of Reels. I just started making them.
I think if you're starting right now, you're still an early
adopter.
Okay, but you know what I mean. Like,
it's like a couple months old.
In the past, when something new would come out, I would be like all over it, right?
Yeah.
Initially, like day 0. I think that if you're nervous about putting yourself out there, you just have to remind yourself that your message, your unique voice, who you are, deserves to be seen. If it's having success for other people, that's excellent. That means it's going to have success for you too. And I think that some people shy away from doing things other people do because they think, oh, well, they're already doing it. But there is enough for all of us. We say 7,000 homes here sell, and every month, right, at least. In October, let's say 7,000 homes sold. Well, most likely there's an agent on the buy and the sell. So that's close to 14,000 agents, right? Maybe a little less, but you get my point.
Yep.
And factor in the new builds.
That's 14,000.
Right. There's usually an agent on both sides of that, whatever. But my point is there are thousands of units sold every month you can go grab 3 to 5 of them.
So,
easy.
I know we got to wrap this up here, but because you guys drop these nuggets for me, and again, I've learned a lot from you on that. Like, take us through the process for the listener real quick. How can they, go identify some content that's getting a bunch of traction, share it, those types of things. Something that they are not having to put the camera in their face, and they're still reaping the benefit.
Well, if you don't ever put the camera in your face, you're doing your audience a disservice because you're not building trust. Your face is going to build trust. So I agree. You can
Which our digital guide just enforced that.
Absolutely. You've got to show who you are. However, house tours. That's it.
Boom.
That's money right there. If you did house tours and you did, one a week, I would encourage you to do more. If you're doing reels, do 5 a week. Take a day and go tour 5 different homes, make 5 different reels, save 4 of them in your draft, post 1 that day, post 1 every other day.
Yep.
There you go. Boom.
Very good.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning into this Halloween edition. We appreciate you being with us, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right.
Woo! Happy Halloween 2020.
Bye.
To get out of this hot costume.
I'm not hot anymore, actually. Are you?
I'm not either. No.
We truly appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today on the iBuyer Experiment podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe so that you're notified when we launch new podcasts. We'll catch you on the next one.
Show you the